Finally, an exhausted Mrs. Krishnan rang up her husband. I am going crazy with the sound of zigzag snoring, plus all these angry telephone calls and all my beautiful painting. Here her voice cracked. Now Mrs. Krishnan doesn't want the bird at home anymore. She calls her husband and tells, take away the bird from here. Now it is a great nuisance for us. You know Mrs. Junjunwala, the art critic who lives upstairs? Well, she heard Zigzag snoring and had the cheek to telephone and ask me whether I could sing a little softly when I took my singing lessons. Please contact Somu and find out what we should do. So the lady who was living on the first floor was asking whether she did not know the bird was snoring. She thought that Mrs. Krishnan was singing a song. So she said, can't you sing softly? So everybody has mistaken. She was telling her husband, can you contact your friend Somu and find out the reason why this bird is making such a lot of nuisance? Dr. Krishnan came home as fast as he could after he had left an email message for Somu. So immediately after this commotion, he left his clinic and he came home and he wanted to see what mess the bird had made. So he sent an email to his friend and asked the reason why this bird is behaving like this, asking him for clear instructions on how to stop Zigzag from snoring, how we can stop this bird from snoring. Don't worry, he reassured his downcast family. Somu will reply soon and we will discover there is some ridiculously simple way to stop Zigzag from snoring. So he consoled his wife, telling, you need not worry about it. I have contacted Somu, he will give a reply soon. Then we have to bear with this bird. Till that time he gives a reply, we have to bear with this bird. These were the consoling words of Dr. Krishnan to his wife. 6 days passed, 6 frantic days of checking their email day and night, 6 torturous days of having the deafeningly loud snoring sound in their home, and most nerve-wrackingly, the people were going mad in the house. Mrs. Krishnan and her children, they were going mad with the house because the bird was snoring in such a loud voice, they did not know what to do. Maya complained that she heard a permanent rumbling sound in her ears even when she was miles away from home, and that her ears ached all the time. She was complaining to her father and mother that this sound has completely got into her ear and it was giving her a lot of problems. Even when she is away from her home, she could hear the snoring of Zigzag, she said. He was actually looking forward to going to school, considering it was calm as a monastery compared to the house. Now Aravind confessed that he doesn't want to stay at home. He wanted to go to school, leaving the bird. The bird's snoring disturbed the children in such a way they wanted to be away from their home. Mrs. Krishnan had lost interest in painting. Zigzag would sometimes wake up briefly, very shortly. The bird went on sleeping. Only for a short while it woke up. He wanted to eat some fruit. Sometimes he would sit on the veranda looking sulky and bored as he stared at the sunset at Marina Beach. The real view, not the painting lying forlorn in one corner, ruined by streaks of hardening papaya. Zigzag never spoke to anyone, though everyone tried several times and in several languages to speak to him kindly. He only slept and snored. The bird was not at all convinced, though new environment made the bird sleep and he kept on snoring. So the people in the house did not like the bird. They started to dislike the bird. On the 7th day, Dr. Somu's email arrived. It was, as Dr. Krishnan's predicted, ridiculously simple. It read, I have never heard Zigzag snore. In fact, Zigzag hardly ever sleeps. Love, Somu. Please, if you are finding it difficult, ask my cook, Visu, to keep Zigzag. So that was the reply given by Dr. Somu to Dr. Krishnan. If you find it very difficult, you can hand over the bird to my cook, Visu. That does it, said Mrs. Krishnan. I find Visu, I will not keep Zigzag here another minute. Mrs. Krishnan was eager to send the bird away with Visu, the cook of Dr. Somu. Calm down, dear, I am leaving for my clinic now. Can't it wait till? So Dr. Krishnan doesn't want to part with the bird. So he says, for a little while wait, we can see what we can do with this bird. No, it's now. Mrs. Krishnan was adamant. She was very stubborn in sending the bird away. I've invited some friends and our experts to come home and choose my paintings for the exhibition. This feathered, snoring monster will drive us all mad. So she doesn't want the bird when the guests are arriving to see her paintings. Come on then, Zigzag, called Dr. Krishnan nervously, wondering how he would locate Somu's cook Visu. So he called Zigzag and he wanted to take the bird to his clinic. Hey, why don't you wait in the car, Zigzag, he suggested. When they reached his clinic, his heart sinking at the thought of Zigzag's ear-shatteringly loud snore adding to the din of the sobs and shrieks produced by the tiny patients waiting for him. But Ziggy Zaga, king of the Tonga, was not accustomed to being kept waiting and was already making his way to the clinic where he perched himself on the nurse's reception table. So he was taken to Dr. Krishnan's clinic and this bird automatically settled on the reception's table. Don't you dare sleep, Dr. Krishnan warned Zigzag fiercely as he went towards his room. So he warned Zigzag to go to, if you sleep, I will take severe. This is my clinic. Don't you dare. You should not sleep. He is giving a threatening call to Zigzag not to sleep on the table. He had hardly walked through the swinging half door that separated his clinic from the waiting room when he heard a strange voice say, "You there in blue t-shirt, don't jump on the sofa. And you in the red dress, don't swing on the curtain." He was surprised to hear a strange voice speaking in English. As soon as doctor was about to enter his room, he looked and turned and saw Zigzag giving command to the patients. The children who were playing, jumping up and down, he was giving stern instruction to his patients. They were all shocked to hear Zigzag speaking in English. It was Zigzag's voice, clear and commanding. The voice was so clear and commanding. There was pin drop silence in the room as everyone waited open-mouthed for Zigzag's next sentence. So the whole patients were completely wonderstruck. They were waiting for Zigzag to open his mouth and utter another sentence. The whole room had a pin drop silence. Only Zigzag's command could be heard. Dr. Krishnan was amazed. He was taken by surprise. Dr. Krishnan never expected that Zigzag would speak like this. He was taken by surprise. Gone was Zigzag's bored and grumpy expression. Instead, the bird looked happy and alert as it went about the job it had been trained for, first with the African witch doctor and then with Dr. Somu. So he was able to understand that this bird is a trained bird. He could very well understand that the African witch doctor has trained the bird in such a way, as well as Dr. Somu assured that this bird could speak 21 multilingual languages. Now Dr. Krishnan is convinced that this bird is a clever, smart bird. Dr. Krishnan's clinic, usually a noisy sea of tears and tantrums, was transformed into a calm, orderly place as Zigzag efficiently soothed the frightened patients. So Zigzag was there commanding everyone to be quiet. The whole room was quiet except Zigzag was commanding voice, making the children very quiet. And of his yam digging song and recitation of French poetry reduced the children to helpless laughter instead of tears. So as it started to recite the French poetry and some songs, the patients with their children started to laugh. They started enjoying his song and poetry. They were completely amazed and surprised to see such a strange bird talking in English. And best of all, Zigzag never slept. From that time onward, Zigzag never went to sleep or snored, even for a second. For a second also, it did not snore. Never had a morning passed so quietly and peacefully for Dr. Krishnan. When the last patient had left, he called Zigzag to his room. So all the patients he saw, and finally he called Zigzag to his room. Everybody left. He called Zigzag into his room, inside his room. Zigzag flew in and sat on the table. Scratching the bird under its beak, Dr. Krishnan sighed and said, "Somu was right up." So he spoke to the bird, telling, "After all, my friend said 100% you are a very good bird and a treasure to a family. You have proven your efficiency. Now I am very happy. He offers the bird a chocolate. You are an absolute treasure. I never realized what he meant when he called you a great help. Why didn't you tell me you would prefer to be at my clinic instead of snoring like that to show you were bored? What do we do now? No one wants you back at home now. They want me to leave you with Visu. Now he is asking that bird, should I take you home or should I leave you with Visu? So he was very unhappy to depart from this bird. So he is asking the opinion of the bird. He offers the bird a chocolate. Just then the telephone rang. It was Mrs. Krishnan. So as he was speaking to the bird, the telephone bell called and it was Mrs. Krishnan sounding very pleased with us. You know Mrs. Junjanwala, the art critic, she was a great art critic. She chuckled. She doesn't want me to exhibit sunset at Marina. She has bought it for herself 5,000 rupees. So the last picture that was ruined by Zigzag was bought at a price of 5,000 by Junjanwala, the art critic. So Mrs. Krishnan was very happy. That was a natural streak of orange from the blades of the fan that went flying to the picture. So it had the natural way. So Junjanwala was completely taken by surprise by the beautiful painting of Sunset at Marina by Mrs. Krishnan. Isn't that the painting the papaya fell? So the doctor is asking, isn't that the picture that was ruined by papaya falling on the painting? Yes, Mrs. Krishnan was laughing heartily now. I had left it in one corner and she chose to buy it, saying she loved my new technique of painting. So she was telling Junjanwala liked the new technique of painting. So that was a natural color given, that is the orange color of the papaya made the picture so beautiful that Junjanwala was completely impressed by the painting of Mrs. Krishnan and she was ready to buy it for 5,000 rupees. Simply adored these streaky orange bits. See how it has turned over. They wanted the bird to go away, but naturally here the painting had fetched Mrs. Krishnan rupees 5,000. She launched into fresh gales of laughter. She couldn't control her laughter and she was laughing. Mrs. Krishnan. By the way, she said, when she saw bird down, I don't think we were fair to Zigzag. Shall we keep him with us at home, just on trial for another week? So she herself was convinced that this bird is a lucky bird and it is really a treasure, so that they could take back the bird home. Sure, agreed a delighted Dr. Krishnan before he cleverly added, and I could always take him to the clinic every morning so that you can paint in peace at home. So he is giving a suggestion. I will not zigzag here, but I will take the bird to my clinic and you can have your painting, you can paint there peacefully. My boy, he confided to Zigzag. After matters were satisfactorily settled, giving the bird a toffee from his desk, you have your own strange way of showing your genius, a zigzag way, I would call it. Wouldn't you? So he is talking to the bird. Really, I brought a luck to my family and I am going to take you home, and every morning I will bring you back to this clinic. But Zigzag, king of the Tonga, brought up on compliments as he was, didn't bother to reply. He just ate the toffee, paper and wrapper and all, and then lowered one crinkly eyelid in a knowing wink. So the bird ate the chocolate and they were very happy. So I finished this supplementary, children, second unit supplementary. See that you go through this story, find out the characters, and you should get to know the characters, get familiarized with the characters, and you have to read the story by yourself. Can you understand, children? So I am completing my second unit fully. It is your work to learn every day. Go through the book, take the book, find out the hard words, find out the meanings. The glossary is given at the back. See what all is given. Go through the book and find out the difficult words and find out the answer. See that you prepare the summary of the supplementary, substance of the poem, and paragraph answer for the prose. So it is your duty not to waste your time. Take a book, write every day. You have to write and see that your handwriting improves. That is very, very important. Shall I read it? So, we get back to page number 56. Even though I clearly said no, this was, who is the speaker? Identify the speaker. I clearly said no, Dr. Ashok. The one that spits deadly poison straight into its opponent's eyes is these lines were uttered by Maya, Dr. Krishnan's daughter. Remember the tiny penknife he gave me last year. So, this was uttered by, these lines were uttered by, I think so, it is Arvind. Yes, these lines were uttered by Arvind, where Dr. Somu presented him a penknife. It's Somu's thoughtless ways that reduced me to tears. That is Mrs. Krishnan. Come in, Zigzag, come in, dear. That was Visu, Dr. Somu's cook. He uttered those lines. Now you see here, we don't have the brief questions, brief answers here. The questions that is related to the supplementary is not here. No, we need not answer all this. You have to write a paragraph answer about 100 to 150 words. That is the thing you have to do. Now you have to identify the speaker and the character here. Now I will write some sentences in related to the supplementary. Don't worry, children. First one, who said these lines? We have been blessed. Truly blessed. I am going crazy with the sound of zigzag. Don't worry. Find Visu. I will not keep zigzag here another minute. Or why don't you wait in the car? I could take him to the clinic every morning. My boy. Zigzag way, I would call it. So, these are the sentences I have given you, children, to be taken down in your classwork. Refer the book and write the characters. Who spoke these lines? Identify the speaker and the character very clearly. Now I have completed the second unit and you have to see that you follow the rules of the book.